enough stuff to pick from.
Yeah, got loads. Yeah.
Yo, welcome to Team RaddTitan, and today we are on the weekly collectors chat. We're on number 305, and we're joined by the legendary painter that we're all a big fan of, which is Matt Mrozek. He's graciously, after weeks of nagging him and bothering him and saying, come on, Matt, come on the show and tell us about how you got into this game, this business that you're in, and help all the cats out, and we'll go through some of your project and all that sort of bits and pieces. So he's here. He's going to be fielding some of your questions. We're going to have just a brief chat about sort of like, what it's like being a custom painter, and the highs and lows, and who to get in contact with, who you can trust, who you can't. This is the kind of guest we're going to be bringing people in sort of every now and then, just have a little catch up. So how are you doing, Matt? Thanks for being here, bro. How's life treating you?
No problem. Thanks for having me. Good, man. Just staying busy. Painting every day, so can't complain. As long as the work keeps coming in, I'm happy. So
is that your full-time gig then?
It is now. Yeah, as of a little over almost 4 years ago, I kind of had to do it not by choice, because I had to. Because of the whole COVID thing, I got laid off from my corporate job, and while looking for another job, it was hard, man. Because I'm a photographer. My background's photography, and I had a full-time photo job at a large retailer, and looking for another job that was similar. First of all, there's not very many out there, and they weren't paying near what I was making. So I was like, man, I was painting while I was looking for a job, and I was like, I basically can make what I could make if I got a new job painting. So I'm not making what I was making before, but I'm at home. My schedule's kind of whatever I want. So yeah, so I kind of did it by necessity, not really by choice, because before I was painting and had a full-time job at the same time, and that was really tough. So, but now it's like,
yeah, you probably had to abandon a few projects left, right, and center. You probably just got swamped with stuff constantly.
Yeah. So what kind of happened when I was working full time is I kind of got buried a little bit. And my one rule is basically don't give me a deadline. If you have a deadline, I'm not the guy for you. I was doing some prototype stuff for some of the custom groups. So they were kind of. Sorry, the light's going in and out of my room because I'm right in front of a window here. I'm trying to close these blinds. So may go anyway. So I was stressing out between, trying to get stuff done for them and working. So, I'd work till I typically start at 7 a.m. and work till, on average 5 p.m., sometimes 10 o'clock at night in my corporate gig. And then I have to paint. So then I was painting till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, working on 4 hours of sleep a night, and it was not conducive. I was not a happy person. So basically I got to a point where I canceled all my private commissions, and I paid out of my pocket to ship everything back to everyone. I think I spent like $5,000 to ship everyone's projects back to them, because it's not fair to them to pay shipping on a project they hired me to do. And I just kept a couple prototype jobs and kind of got those out of the way, and then kind of started building up the private stuff as time allowed. And then when I got laid off, I had enough work to keep me busy. And then I just kind of made the decision that, look, I'm just going to paint full time, and I can make a job out of it. And now I'm busy all the time. It's kind of interesting, because as soon as I think I'm going to run out of work, I'll have a ton of stuff show up. So
an influx of commissions to do.
What's that?
I was going to ask you actually, because obviously, starting in this game, that's one thing, but where does that skill come from? How did that start? I got a 5-year-old son, and for his last birthday, I got him, one of them giant Jurassic World colossal dinosaurs, and I had it professionally painted by a painter I have here that I use in the UK in Wilkinson. And he's telling everybody he's going to be a sculptor and a painter and all this. I've obviously messed him up, which is my apologies to him later if he's ever watching this in 20 years. But where does that skill come from? Where did you get that from? Because you said you did a corporate job, but where does the painting come? Where does that abilities come from?
So my painting goes all the way back to high school, when I was taking auto body repair class. So I got my chops doing automotive repair. So paint and body work. And then while I was going to high school, I went to one of the students that was in my class, who was also a student of my mother, who was a math teacher at the time, his parents own and still own the largest restoration shop in the United States that restore 55, 56, and 57 Thunderbirds. And I was one of the few people in the class that took it seriously. I was there to learn and not goof off, because a lot of kids just took it to goof off and get an easy A, but I wanted to learn the process. They asked me if I wanted a job. Like, yeah, sure. So I started working there after school and then on the weekends. And then anytime I could work, I'd go work in the body shop. So I learned how to do paint and body work on these old Thunderbirds. And so that's kind of where like the basic skills came from. Body repair, using Bondo, sanding, prep, all that stuff. And then painting and finish painting, buffing and sanding and all that stuff. The modeling came from basically, that's a good question, because I just kind of started doing it. I just took what I knew from the automotive industry and applied it to scale models. And I started seriously model building. I always built models as a kid. I'd put them together. They looked like shit. Never painted them. I'd blow them up with firecrackers and light them on fire and that kind of thing. But my modeling started back in 2008, I would say, when I kind of discovered Gundams again, the Japanese anime Gundam.
Yeah.
And I kind of remember those from being a kid, and then I saw the model kits again. I kind of started buying those and just snapping them together. And then I painted one or two for myself, and they turned out pretty good. And this was before social media and everything. So I started joining modeling forums, and I probably belonged to like a dozen different modeling forums, all related to Gundam or science fiction modeling. And there's a few that were just really, really good, where like any of the top, there's one in particular, it's no longer around obviously, but where all the top sci-fi model builders would hang out, and I'd post my work and they'd comment on it and they give me, critiques or advice. And it was just basically learned by doing. The modeling thing just kind of happened. I just, I never was trained. I just applied kind of what I knew from painting cars. It's just on a much smaller scale.
You know what? It's really strange
instead of that big.
It's really strange that you would say that about the cars, because one of the things that I notice about your work, and I share a lot of your stuff on our Instagram, on our page and stuff, as you know, you'll work with metallic paints on like your Spider-Man and your certain the characters that you do. It's a funny thing. I see a lot of like painted work, a lot of repainted work and professional painted stuff, and I could always get confused. I always know your stuff. I always know, no matter where I've seen it, no matter where it's shared, I know that's yours. And then if I cross-reference it, I always know I can find it. I'm like, yeah, that looks like something that Matt's done. And it's funny because it is that sort of that work you do with metallics, which obviously is part of what we would be using for paint in cars, right?
Yeah, I didn't do it. Well, the cars I painted, I think I painted like one metallic Thunderbird. But the metallics, again, come from doing Gundams. So that was, again, I just learned by doing. But that's one thing I get a lot of comments on my metallics. And even people, you'll see my work. If you see my work in person, it's one thing to see something in a photograph and see it in person. Yeah. What you see in person looks good. You see it in person, and you're going to see like a ton more detail. You're going to see all the shading and subtleties to it. Because the one thing about metallics is all my metallics are candies. They're not just a straight metallic color. So one reason my metallics look the way they do is because it's a base coat with a candy color and then shading with multiple clear colors to get that depth. So it's just not, so if you like a metallic green, if I just sprayed a metallic green and then did another one next to it with the candy on top of it and then shaded with different colors, it'd have a lot more depth and a lot more kind of saturation to it. So it's all, very thin layers of candies and stuff. So like, I think you're going to show Vulture later. Like those wings on Vulture, those took me almost an entire day just to do the wings.
Show now.
So,
show now. There you go. Boom.
Yeah. So those wings took me about a day to paint. Just the wings.
I got to be honest. I think I mean I love this. I love this piece anyway. This is like a fantastic piece. How was this as a kit to like get in and do? What did you think about this in person? This piece.
So we can kind of get into kit quality if you want. This kit was actually the quality of the kit was actually really good on this one. The problem with some of, and I'll kind of get into some of the things you run into when you paint kits from factories. A lot of times you get an unpainted kit. Unpainted means that the factory has painted it, primed over it, and sent it to you. Because I think what they do is they'll take a rejected painted piece and just prime over it and call that an unpainted kit. So this one had a lot of, when I first got it, you could tell there's a lot of thickness to it. So I had to strip it. I stripped it all the way down to bare resin, which took me about a day to do so I could see the details. So the kit quality, once I got all the paint off, it was actually pretty good. Most everything fit pretty good. I had to work on the wings a little bit, and but for the most part, it was a good kit. Once I got all the primer and stuff off, it looked pretty good. But yeah, so this was it's a fun piece to do. I don't do it's the first Vulture I've ever done. He comes with 3 heads. He's got 2 older heads, bald heads, and a young head. But the young head looks stupid. I don't like it. It doesn't fit him. It looks dumb. He's got this big head of hair on it.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the McFarlane look for that sort of artwork, is it not? I can't remember, but I remember there's a particular run in the comics where he looks like that, where he's got the big bushy hair, big fluffy hair. Looks a bit like a young Alex, to be honest. It's got that
I've never read a comic in my life. I've never read one comic book.
Matt, you disgust me. Get him out of here. Ban him.
Bob's is she's saying you did such an amazing job with the pyro statue. The metallic colors turned out so beautiful. That's on her statue. I think you painted hers.
Yeah, I had the wrong thing. I was looking at the private chat. Now you look at the comments. Okay, I'm not due to this.
Sorry. I'll deal with the. No, the private chats were just in case you need to.
I got you.
You need to shut Alex up, or me. Might be me.
So if you're talking about back to metallics, like I said, the wings on this, it's like you would think it'd be a pretty easy thing to paint. Part of it is when you're painting some of this stuff, it's just logistics. The pieces are really big. These wings are huge. I mean, they're like, I didn't measure them, but how do you handle a piece like that, which is kind of a weird shape? There's really no place to hold it. I was petrified about breaking something on the wings because they're fairly thin, but they do have a little flex to them. But if I dropped it, the wings would shatter, and I'm stuck having to fix the wings. So a lot of times people think
I have the Bowen Vulture bust, and it fell off the top of my cabinet. The wings just disintegrated.
I dropped the cape once after I just got done finishing a Superman. I was pulling the cape out of the booth, and I dropped it, and it cracked into 2 pieces. I was pissed, so I had to go back and fix it. But so like the metallics again, this is like, so that metallic green on the wings, it's like it's a base coat, and then there's layers of clear green on it, and there is shading. You can kind of see it here, but it shows on more in person. I shaded between all the feathers and then the layers of feathers to kind of give it dimension. So there's a lot. I love
what you did with the base on this as well.
And then the base is real. Yeah, so my client was really specific on this one because the base is actually really cool. And on the backside, there's 2 Spider-Man heads released, and I bronzed them just so they would stand out a little bit more.
It was a real clever touch. That it was a very clever touch.
Lucas saying the Young Vulture happened in the 90s Amazing Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, I think.
Bad Blood Studios saying Matt's best statue today is still the Captain America's Secret Empire, in my opinion.
That's my favorite too, by the way. That's my favorite piece I've ever done.
Is that the one on the throne?
No, so Secret Empire, where he's missing the front of his suit, and it's got a Hydra logo on it.
Yeah.
So it's based off the cover art from Secret Empire.
Is it like half ripped? Is it half ripped? Yes.
Yeah, like his sleeve is all ripped up, and the chest is ripped. And he's got a Hydra logo in the middle.
Yeah, I've seen that piece. That's an awesome piece. I was just gonna say, like, when you obviously your reputation precedes you, and anybody that sort of knows a few things about what you do you get much? I mean, I personally, I'm very detail focused. When I ask my painter to do something, I actually give him reference, and I give him like pictures, and I say this is what I want. How much of that do you get, or is it just basically they just tell you to run with it? It's like a tattooist. They just, people. You get people just come in and just basically like, do what you think, or is it very much like focused on the detail?
Depends on the client. So like Pyro right there. This was the second piece I did for this client. This was for Barbara and her husband. I did a bishop for them, 3D print, and they were really specific on what they wanted on this. So they gave me a couple different paint ups as references. And then I just kind of use those as references to go by. And when people give me a reference of another painter and they say, I want it to look exactly like this, then I tell them, well, hire that painter because I'm not going to get it to look exactly like that because I'm not that painter. I can use this as a reference and then I'll do my thing, but I'll use this as a color guide. So that's what they do with Pyro. Like, hey, we know we want the 2-tone yellow. We want like the mustard yellow for the darker yellow and the brighter yellow for the rest. And then, so he gave me like 3 different references and I just kind of mashed them all together. And that's what I did for Pyro. Other clients, they kind of give me a little guidance and like, just do your thing. And that's when I tend to do my best work, is when I'm just allowed to kind of do my thing. They give me feedback because I'm sending them photos in the process. Vulture is a good example where I initially had all the green done on a suit and it looks really punchy in the photographs. It's not quite that punchy in person, but it was even punchier before. Like I had even deeper shadows. The shadows were really dark. And after I looked at it for a day, I was like, you're right. So I went and lined up the shadows and it looked better. So, sometimes I may think something looks great and then my client's, it's kind of there, but maybe let's adjust it here and there. So then I do that, but depends on the client. Some clients are really, really specific. Some clients don't know what they want until they see it. And those are really hard clients. I've got 1 or 2 of those.
That's the worst kind of client, surely.
Yeah. I've got 1 or 2 of those where I know once I take the photographs and I box it up and it's ready to ship, they're going to message me the next day. It's like, hey, can we go back and do this? Like, sure. I charge by the hour. So I go back and do this. There's more billable time for me, but they don't know what they want till they see it, or they send it to their friends. Their friends give them their opinion. Now they're looking at what their friends are saying. So it's like, there's a few of those.
That's actually leading on to another great question, which would be, how do you do that? Is it how do you do the project? Is it purely by the hour? Is that how you do it?
That's how I do it. I used to do it.
So if I contacted you or anybody contacted you, for example, and they had a project, will you give them a scale of how long you think it will take? Or is it more like as you go?
I'll give them an estimate. I say, hey, look, based on the photos I'm seeing, I think it'll take this. Until I get the kit in person, I don't know. Now, there are certain factories, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to start, there's enough drama in this hobby as there is. But there are certain factories, when I get something from them, it could be really great or it could be absolute shit. I don't know. So if I know it's coming from that factory, I tell the person, hey, if it's coming from this particular factory, I think it'll take this. But if I got to spend 3 or 4 days fixing what the factory did and do, that costs more money. So when I first started, I was just bidding on by the job and I was making like $7, $8 an hour plus the cost of it wasn't worth my time. So I had to change my billing. Some guys do it by the job. I'm strictly by the hour. So I just had to. Yeah. But for the most part, I can get, it's pretty accurate. If I get into a project and I'm like, okay, this is going to take way longer, then I get in touch with the clients. Like, hey, look, I don't know if you're going to show the Bishop that I did. I quoted an hourly, what I thought it would take. And by the time the quote, that one, I was still building it and fixing it by the time I got to the hourly rate that I told them. Like, look, I'm still building the thing and I haven't even started painting. So we'll
go into other pictures there. So they're doing great order.
So I had to kind of, we talked about like, hey, look, I think it's going to take this much additional time. And they're just really cool with it. As long as you communication, like anything, like you deal with factories and producers and all that stuff, communicate, just talk to people. And if there's a problem, contact your client or contact whoever it is you're dealing with and just communicate. And that's like, don't surprise people.
So right now, Matt, you're really going to aggravate me if you don't answer this question correctly. You don't read comics, which is fine. I can maybe forgive you and grit my teeth a little. But do you collect any of this stuff? Do you have any?
I don't. And I'll tell you one reason why I don't read comics. So, okay. So all
right, everyone. Thanks. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
I haven't read comics because if I start reading them, that's one thing I know I'll get into it. I'll enjoy it. That's why I kind of purposely have stayed away because I don't want to be the guy that's got a room full of boxes full of comics. To be honest, there's a few characters I really like based on just the movies, Marvel movies and stuff. So I'd be interested, maybe Captain America is probably my favorite character. I wouldn't mind kind of delving into his story and his backstory. So I like Captain America. I like Magneto.
It's the most white bread character ever, Captain America.
I'm a white boy. I live in Texas. What can I say?
No. Like it's like you meet when we say something like that. It means it's like plain. He's got no edge. The best thing that ever happened to Captain America was when he turned bad with the Hydra thing. That's the best angle ever.
I think I like him because I like paint. I like painting him. Maybe that's why I like the character. I like to paint him. He's a fun character to paint. But so that's one reason I haven't started getting into comics. I don't want to collect, and for collecting statues, I don't have room for it. I don't have room to display this stuff. I've got a very small display area in my work area. It's got some of my old Gundam stuff. It's got some figure stuff I did, but they're all 6 scale or they're busts. I've got some unpainted kits in my work area that are quarter scale. I've got like a 2.5 foot tall onslaught that's been sitting in the corner waiting to get painted. I've got a quarter scale Hulk sitting on the floor. I've got
you might actually be getting your statue fixed through your job, right?
I enjoy the process. When I'm done painting something, I look at it, I enjoy it. I'm like, now it's ready to go to someone else's house. I get my enjoyment when the client gets their piece and they tell me how awesome it is. And when they send me a photo of it in their display and they're like, this looks great. It looks better than the photographs. That makes me happy. That's where my enjoyment comes from. And plus I don't want to have to dust the things, to be honest. I don't want to do dusting them. So I don't have the room. My wife wouldn't let me display them anywhere, and I don't want to dust them. So that's kind of why I don't collect. And I can't afford to collect. I can't afford to buy statues, to be honest. Seriously.
What about
as a painter? You must get like here, have this right and paint this, and you get the money as well as a sample on something as well.
Say it again.
You must get like a sample when you paint stuff with certain agreements, or no? I still
didn't catch the question.
No, I'm sorry,
take your beard out of your mouth, old man.
No, I'm saying you must get like samples as agreements as well.
Oh, so I used to do that. So when I was doing prototype for all the custom groups, my fee was an unpainted kit. Give me an unpainted kit and I'll paint your prototype. So I was doing that for a long time with the intention of painting my piece and then selling it. Because again, I enjoy the process. I enjoy the artwork. But to be honest, once I'm done painting something and I've taken the photographs, I can always go back and look at my photographs and enjoy it there. I don't need to see it in person. People find that weird, but it's just my enjoyment is the painting process. And then when the client gets their piece and they love it, that's where you
go like all Austin Powers. Then you take all your shots, like love, yeah, baby, and all that. And then
I quite like that.
Like, I'm spent. That's it. Like I'm spent. I'm done. Take it away. I don't care no more. Is that's how we go?
Not quite. No. I do have a little studio set up where I kind of store all my clients' pieces. There's Capital Cities. He's a huge client of mine. What's up, Tony? He's paid my mortgage for the past 2 years a lot. Capital City. He's a good guy. Oh, by the way, I'm going to plug something for him here if it's okay. He's producing the quarter scale Rhino that Troy McDivitt did. So go buy from him because he's got a bunch of them. It's all produced.
Is that the really realistic looking one with the gut and it's like big guy standing up straight up with the kind of the cinder blocks around him behind him? Yeah. That's so
they did it. They did it in 6 scale years and years ago, and forever everyone wanted it in quarter scale. So now it's finally available. So go hit him up if you want one. He's selling kits and painted pieces. All right, commercial over.
Well, Troy McDevitt. We're a big fan of Troy McDevitt. We've had a few pieces ourselves actually. Of his work. He's a fantastic sculptor.
Yeah, but as far as collecting, I don't collect these pieces. I collected kits for a long time. I used to probably own 20 or 30 custom kits.
I love this. I love this.
Eventually, I just kind of sold them all because I didn't have time to do them. Yeah, this was a 3D print. This was really challenging.
This actually comes back to a question. So, what if people are asking questions? I am actually starring them and to come back to. So, one of the questions that Barb's asked was, so Matt, how do you feel about painting a print file kit versus a factory kit? Does one require more work than the other?
Yes. In general, 3D prints are going to require more work because we are doing, as a painter, I'm doing all the stuff the factory did to the print. I'm sanding, I'm doing all the fitting. Even though it's a 3D print and most of them are resin, I haven't gotten an FDM print. A lot of times they don't fit. You gotta putty the keys and make them fit. You got to add magnets. You got to sand out, even though they're high quality. Even the best prints need work. There may be some print artifacts you got to deal with. There may be some texturing I got to do. If there's a print line somewhere that I can't get rid of, I have to sand it and then sculpt that print texture. He-Man here was all 3D print. The base alone, including the Battle Cat helmet, is 8 pieces. So you have to put all those 8 pieces together. You have to again glue them together. Then you have to fill all the seams, sand it, resculpt all the texture, and then I filled the base. I actually filled the base with castable resin to give it some weight. And actually, I had to do the base twice because the first one showed up in 1,000 pieces. So I had to redo I shipped it, and luckily they honored the insurance, but I had to redo the base because it showed up in 1 million pieces. But yeah, 3D prints. I don't have a preference over either of them. Most of the prints I've gotten are from a guy named Bond. He's here in the U.S. His prints are pretty good. I'd say.
Yeah. He used to do. Well, he still does custom pieces, and he did projects with Gem Mint, didn't he? So he did the doppelganger and stuff like
Norin,
that.
That's it. Yeah, Norin, that's it.
Yeah, so he does a lot of printing now, and his prints are pretty good. I did a Sandman that he sent me, and that was really so. Even his prints are good, but they still need work. As far as kits go, again, it depends on where it's from. If it's an Ownage kit, there's Bone right there. If it's an Ownage kit, there's nothing to do to it. It's their prep is like sometimes I got to switch out the magnets. They may not be very strong, but their prep is flawless. It's
like like yours, Matt. Their reputation precedes them. Ownage, we know is the best in the world.
Their kits are damn near perfect. Stuff
Bob's is impatient. She asked the question again while you're answering it.
I
said she's impatient. She's impatient. She's like copied and pasted the same question, asked it again while you're answering it.
There's really no there's no preference because again, it's to me it's all the same process. So there's no preference. Again, it depends on how long it takes and how much the client wants to spend. If they send me a print, they should know that it's going to take longer to do because I've got to do all the prep work to the pieces.
I'm lucky though that you've got a background in that you actually have the skill set for that, because there'll be a lot of painters be like, oh, fuck this is a nightmare. There's
a lot of painters that won't touch 3D prints because of it takes a lot of work, and they don't want to. It's either the way they charge, they don't think it's worth their time. That's one reason I charge by the hour, because I mean, He-Man, that was 3 solid weeks of work, maybe a little bit longer. Wow. The first week and a half was just building the print, getting everything to fit.
But that goes back to the other question as well. So the answer you said where one of the factories sent you a piece and it was covered in primer, so you then had to remove that. So that would take you almost as much time as prepping some of the 3D parts. So
sometimes, sometimes I get. So I just did a Sentry. I just finished it a little the other week. Was it last week I finished it? No, 2 weeks ago. He's kind of lunging forward, and the base is just real simple. I did kind of like a galaxy effect on the base. That's from the factory that shall not be named. And the kit was expensive. I think my client paid like $1,800 for the kit and nothing fit. And I told him, like, look, I gave him a price what I thought it would take. And I got the kit and I'm like, look, I sent him a video that nothing fits. I've got a putty here. I've got to fix this. Nothing fit. You can't do the switch out here because otherwise it's going to fall apart. So he sent a message to the factory. It's like, oh, just take some glue and primers. Like, that's a bunch of, it's bullshit. It doesn't work that way.
You do know, Matt, you are on the RaddTitan chat, bro. This you could say what the fuck you like about anybody here. You can upset whoever you want to, bro. It doesn't really matter, honestly. There's nobody here that's protected under this banner, lad. We go for the jugular here, son.
I don't want to call it factory names because it's not cool. Because a lot of this particular factory, a lot of well-known custom groups use them, and I wish they didn't. Just because it's so hit or miss with.
I know exactly who that is. Then.
Yeah, let's just put this out. Aquaman came from that factory.
Or HTC or whatever they call it.
I didn't say it.
They took over Last Level, and then basically
charged
the prices astronomical. They literally doubled all the prices, tripled all the prices, and then just basically cut back on the work. And the whole thing that David said when he sold the company or whatever he did was the quality won't go down. Yeah, bullshit.
Back 1 second, lad.
Yeah, it's just been downhill since then.
Yeah, that factory is so hit or miss. I've gotten stuff from them where I thought it was Ownage quality, and then I've gotten stuff from them where I was like, "What the hell is this?" I asked my client, I was like, "What'd you pay for this?"
I got like a cheap kit from Narden in Thailand, and it was the crow on the
Yeah, sitting
chair.
on the chair. Yeah.
And I haven't seen. I've seen a bunch of kits, but I haven't seen nearly the number of kits you've seen, especially in raw form. And in all honesty, it was like one of the cleanest kits I've ever seen. It was so clean, and
Nair stuff is
everything
just,
fit together. It was perfectly fit together, and I was like amazed. And then the next kit I got was by that guy who turned into a scammer. Was Henry Stewart.
yeah.
It was the blade kit. And it
Yeah.
was like the worst kit I'd ever seen in my
Yeah.
life, and it was such a shame because the actual original file was amazing, and
That was awesome.
when people got it repaired and actually painted, it was really nice, and it was such a shame. But the kit was fucked in every way, like literally every
So,
piece I took out.
yeah. So a couple things on that blade kit, 'cause I know the exact kit you're talking about. And that I'm not defending Henry Stewart by any means, because he's
Yeah.
a dick. He's the creative. By the way, he's the creative collector on YouTube. Do not subscribe to his channel. That's
The
his
creative
channel.
collector.
The creative collector. Anyway, so the blade kit, that's all the quality issues were really should be put on the caster. Now he is the commissioner, so he should have some say. But I know a buddy of mine got that kit and it was perfect, and then others got it where it was leaking resin. So it was something in the casting was just really not consistent. So you got a shitty version. I know people got ones that were perfect.
I had a really weird one time where it was a custom penguin which I actually won in a raffle, and it looked great. I think it looked amazing, and it was the best penguin at the time. There was no other real competition for it. I got it in, and literally after a month or 2 months, it started like the water started coming out of it.
It's
Like
uncured resin is what's coming out of
Oh,
it.
is that what it
oozing,
is?
It's oozing resin. Yeah.
Okay,
So
because
what
it's like
happens? So like the blade kit.
yeah.
So what happens is that there's something with the resin that didn't cure correctly or for whatever, and 90% of the stuff is hollow.
Yeah.
So they're rotocasting it, and for whatever reason, some of the resin didn't solidify inside, and eventually it's going to find a way out.
Oh, it did. Yeah.
So if there's like a magnet in there or something, or if there's a little seam, it's going to start leaking eventually. And I luckily haven't run into that yet. And I don't know how to fix it, to be honest. My assumption is you just try to clean it up and seal a hole, and hopefully it doesn't leak again.
Well,
but I don't know.
literally what happened with me was the guy said to me, the funny thing was that I won it in a contest from someone who purchased it. They said contact the original guy, which was is it James Tavag?
Oh yeah. I have one of those kits. Is it just him on a base with a bunch of little penguins and some money and stuff around him?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And the money bags and things.
Yep.
I didn't even win it. I didn't get it from him. I didn't win it. I got it in a raffle for like $40 or something stupid.
Yeah.
And I literally thought to myself, this is really weird. I'm going to contact him just to say, hey, I've never seen this before in my life. What do you think it is? And he just got back to me. He goes, hey, clean it up, like put it upside down, let it drain out, whatever, and then just leave it for a little bit and see, give it a week, put it back together and see if it's okay. I did that, and then I'm like, no, man, it's still kind of seeping out. It's not stopping. Yeah. And he goes, oh, no worries. Send it to this guy. And I sent it to someone, and then he goes, no, he can't do anything with it. And I'm sending you a whole new base. And he sent me a new base. So it was really, really good of him to do that because, again, I didn't get it from him. And he didn't need to honor that with me at all. And it was great that he did. Really great.
He was a good producer. He doesn't do stuff anymore, but I owned that kit at one time. I sold it. Yeah. And now another one came up for sale a couple months ago. I reached out to a few of my clients, and one of them bought it, so I have one in my queue to do. So I'm looking forward to painting it. The only time I buy a kit is because I want to paint it myself, and I just want the experience of painting it, and then I'm going to sell it. Or what I do now, if I see something I'd really like to paint that, I just put out feelers to a bunch of my clients. Hey, this is for sale. Would you be interested in buying it and have me paint it? And I think there's only been one time that I've done that, and someone didn't buy the piece and send it to me. So if I see something I want to paint, I can reach out to one of my 6 big clients and more than likely they'll buy it and send it to me because I just want to paint it. I just want the experience.
I mean, I'd love to see your work on that, because the thing is the factory paint weren't bad. I mean, the factory paint was actually pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
But obviously, factory paint is never professional paint. So to see it at the next level would be great. It was absolutely great to see.
Yeah, because the factories can't spend 100 hours painting a piece.
I don't know.
It's assembly line, and it's
this is one of the things with sort of Sideshow and with kind of XM Studios and some other companies as well. With XM, I don't know about now, but they used to always do it where they would paint their prototypes good enough. They would paint them like to a standard which was good enough to see the prototype. But what they would actually do is a lot of the time, then the production piece would actually be slightly better.
Oh, wow.
But then Sideshow do it the other way, where they get like some amazing painter like Cat or someone to do it. It looks phenomenal. And then they go, all right, you're actually going to get like 75% of that if you're lucky. Yeah. And I think that was always the thing that XM did really, really well with that, which leads on to another question that's actually come up here. I don't know whether to wait for George, because I'm not sure he's going to want to know the answer to this as well, but I can fill him in. But Bad Blood Studios says, can you ask Matt whatever happened about painting for Sideshow? Did that fall through just because he painted customs?
Okay, so there's a little bit of a story there. Right when I started getting into the quarter scale stuff, which that kind of happened by accident also, though. That's a whole nother story if you want to hear it. I was posting, on the forums and stuff, or on Facebook. And I think I painted a Thor, an Alpha 3 Captain America, probably a Hellboy, and maybe a Mad X Hulk. I think I only painted like 3 or 4 large scale things, and I get an email from Kat from Sideshow. It's like, hey, we saw your work. We'd love to work with you. And this was at the time when Sideshow was really pushing against anyone that had anything to do with customs or fan art.
Oh yeah, we experienced that all the time.
Yeah, they were really going against anyone that was related to that. You're gonna lose your affiliate, all that stuff. So I talked to her on the phone. I was like, hey, I'd love to just everything I do is custom work. It's unlicensed pieces, and I just want to put that out there because I know you guys are kind of trying to watch your backs and everything. So that's a good question. Let me get with our legal department. Oh, I was also doing some prototypes for some custom groups at that time. I think I'd done 2 or 3. So I was like, I'm doing personal pieces. I'm doing a couple of prototypes for some of these custom groups. So she got back to me. It's like we talked to legal. It's like everything's fine because you're only doing like 1 prototype. You're not doing a whole run. So yeah, I'm just doing like 1 prototype and I'm doing personal pieces. So it's like, yeah, we can work with you, no problem. So they sent over pages and pages, non-disclosure agreements, legal stuff. I read through it all. Had someone who I knew that was a lawyer look at it, just make sure everything's copacetic. So yeah, it's fine. Signed it, sent it back over, and then I made a YouTube video on Saturday saying, "Hey, cool news! I'm gonna be painting for Sideshow. Kind of cool. I've only been doing this for like 8 months. And I've already got there by like the biggest company in the world doing this thing." And I just said in my videos, like, for those of you who have pieces with me, no concern there. They're okay with me painting your custom pieces. And I left it at that. I get a phone call from Kat on Sunday. On a Sunday, she calls me. It's like, hey, you need to take your video down. I was like, which one? It's like the one where you say it's okay that, that you're painting for us and that we're okay with you painting custom pieces. I go, but you are, we discussed it. It's like, yeah, but you can't say that. And I go, oh, well, I didn't know that. So I took the video down. And they got an email on Monday saying, in light of your video, yada, 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 Sideshow's decided not to work with you. Yeah. So in a 48-hour, like within a week, it went from painting for Sideshow to not painting for Sideshow.
We had similar shit. I mean, like we made them probably like $1 million of sales minimum. Sure, like we made so many affiliate sales, and we were I hate to admit it, but we were one of the first channels to actually share the affiliate links on our page and whatever else, and we did that quite early on, and then everyone else kind of copied afterwards. And then we were doing really, really well with it. They approached us. What happened was it used to be 5% affiliate sales. And then what happened was they then realized they gave out the affiliate title to too many people, so they dropped it to 2.5%. We continued to do really, really well with it, so we didn't bother. It didn't bother us. They then approached us. We had a call with them, and they go, "Hey, we want you to be our only affiliate. We will give you 10%. And what we'll do is we'll send you 2 statues a month to review. We'll fly you over here, and you can stay in our loft. And we have a car as well. We'll give you the car. You can stay here. You can then do a tour of our offices. We can bring you across to San Diego Comic-Con. What we'll do, and it was going to be come to their office and then go to San Diego and then kind of so in one trip. And then it turned into, oh, actually, because we're so busy, it'll be 2 trips because we're so busy that week. And it was like, wow, okay. And then they sent us a contract, and it was just, we don't want to see any customs on your side. And I asked them, and I said, look, okay, we don't want customs, but we basically want to show artists. We want to show what the artists do. We want to show 3D renders, and we want to show the work there. Can we still do that? Not really, no. Yeah. And then it was like, well, okay, but we want to show that. And also, with the way that this contract is written up, they were really going after XM at the time. So it was like, in 6 months' time, you're going to come back to us and you're going to say, you don't want us to talk about things outside of region, because XM obviously sell outside the licensing region right business.
Yeah.
And they were just like, well, we can't promise that will or won't happen. And then so went away, because I was doing the call because yeah, I don't know why George went on it, but yeah, I was.
No, you don't have you don't have me on those type of calls.
Anyway, so I come back to George and I said, look, this is the arrangement, blah blah blah, and then we kind of came to the agreement that they're just going to fuck us over. They're going to say they're literally going to give us this 10%. We're going to build up a big stock of a load of money, because a lot of this money takes a year to pay out. So, you know, you're waiting for it. And then they'll say in 6 months' time, when you've got this big bank of money, hey, stop talking about XM. Hey, stop doing this, or you won't get your money. And I think they just felt like that was going to be the route they were going to go down. And we just said, you know what, we appreciate your time. We appreciate, you know, the things we've done together, but good day and take care. And we just parted ways. And then we saw exactly 2 weeks later, we saw the channels that agreed to do it. All the channels who started dropping things, all the channels that started to get more statues. You know, we saw exactly who agreed to it straight after. So,
yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it's a little shady, I guess. You know, I feel like, and to be honest, I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet a little bit, because I know people, a few of my friends who have painted for Sideshow, they don't really paint them for any anymore. It's like, you know, it's like, I've done like 1 or 2. I've done 3 commercial pieces for gaming heads, and it's okay. The process is way different. You have no there's no creativity on my end as a painter. They basically give you a psychedelic color chart of the piece with all the Pantone colors. You got to match it exactly, because you're dealing with the licensor. So there's no creative freedom on my end. A particular guy who I know, that I don't know if he still paints for him or not, so I'm not going to mention him, but he's like, they wouldn't pay what you want to charge. They only pay a certain amount. You have to paint 2 to 3 copies in like 2 weeks, because they need one for the factory, one for archival, and one for the shows. And so I was like, I don't know if I could have done that. I mean, this is when I was working full time too. So I'm like, well, shoot, I can't do that. I don't have the time. I would literally never sleep. And so I'm like, so I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet a little bit. I was very flattered that they contacted me, to be honest, because again, I was brand spanking new into this whole statue thing. I mean, I happened into this really by accident again, because I was doing all the Gundam stuff and the modeling stuff on Facebook. The piece that got me interested in is the Bushi Beast up on the desk.
Yeah,
I saw that, came across my feed, and like, holy shit, what is that thing? That looks fucking awesome. Is that a kit? Where do I get one? Yeah. I want to paint one. I've never been interested in this kind of stuff before. And
funny enough, that's the same artist who did that penguin we were just talking about.
Yeah. Bushi, Bushi did it.
No.
Sheridan Deuce. Sorry, Sheridan Deuce. Yeah, the sculptor. But anyway, so I kind of went down this rabbit hole to find out. I found out who the producer was. And I contacted him, and he grilled me like for 4 hours. We were chatting back. He wanted to know who I was, where I came from, how I found out about this thing. It's like, dude, this came across my feed. I want to know if I can paint one somewhere. He's like, it's all sold out. So anyway, that's the piece that kind of got me in the rabbit hole looking for all this stuff. And from there, I found out this whole like statue collecting community. I'm like, oh crap, I never knew about this. Never read a comic, watched the Marvel movies, but this stuff looks cool. I love the sculpts. These would be fun to paint. So that's kind of how I got into it. Again, just
who is your favorite character to paint?
I'd say Captain America is my favorite to paint. There's just something about it. I just like doing Captain America.
One of the funny things about Sideshow as well is, like Barb's mentions here, that I tried to have Daniel Bell on my channel and I got denied because I own customs. The funny thing is Daniel Bell used to work on customs.
Yeah.
And that was how he kind of...
That's how Sideshow found him.
Yeah, but he got established
that was our
XM
argument
as well. Yeah.
Hey, go back to
that was our whole argument. Our whole argument with Sideshow was, without this, what do you think? That you think that these guys think you're just going to come knocking at their fucking house and say, do you want to sculpt for Sideshow? No. They have to see you. How do they see you? You have to find somewhere to be able to do that. And you're not instantly going to grab a license. You're not instantly going to be. It's just ridiculous.
Hey, I'll go back to Predator.
Yeah, Predator's nice.
Get back to the Predator. That's my first Predator I ever did.
Yeah, that's crazy. That looks like a lot of hours.
That's in my top 5 proudest pieces right there.
Oh wow!
It's the first Predator I ever did. I've never done a Predator.
It's like a samurai one. What is that?
That's a Naren kit. So that's Naren Shadow Elixir.
Love this stuff. Looks like it. Very, very nice. I've shared this piece from you. I'm sure I have.
What's actually funny is he agreed to do it, then they came back and said no after they viewed your channel. yeah.
But don't worry, we've been trying to get Martin Canal on here for about 10 years.
His English is really bad.
He can't speak English.
Yeah, so it's funny because it's
like one of them hot girls that you find outside a London bar. They're like,
George, you're right. It's like, the custom world is silly. It's funny because customs, they do what they want. They do the characters they want. They have unlimited number of sculptors they can work with. You got your top 3 or 4 out there. You got Franco, you got Sheridan. You got your top 3 or 4 sculptors, but
Burgoltz.
Yeah, but then you have Sideshow and XM. They can use the custom world as a gauge to what is popular. They can say, "Oh, this character, we haven't done this character or whatever." But, oh well, that did really well. Maybe we should do it. So they're
that's brutal.
That's what this should be. It should be the custom market is to fill in the gaps with what the license market isn't making.
Yeah.
But then when it turns into 100 Magnetos, 100 Wolverines, and 100 Silver Surfers, then it's not quite doing what it should be doing, and that's when it's a problem.
To play devil's advocate for Sideshow and people, I get it. They got Marvel on their shoulders. Like, hey, look, you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for licenses. These guys aren't paying
millions,
millions, whatever. It's up there. They're paying all this money for license. These custom guys aren't paying for licenses, but they're only making 50 at the most. It's very rare they go over 50. So I don't know.
Yeah, but in the current market, some of the actual companies are struggling to sell 50. So
it's tough right now. Yeah, they're not selling
it's
stuff.
Really tough. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Matt, what would you say? Could you say what your top maybe 3 pieces you've ever painted are? They in your memory?
So top 3: Samurai Wolverine, Aquaman.
This one.
If we're talking figures, Samurai Wolverine, Aquaman, and I'd have to say Secret Empire Captain. He's still, I think, one of my best pieces.
You did this one. It's amazing.
Wasn't this one a real fucking nightmare with the cherry blossom?
Yeah, so this was done by the factory who shall be named, HCT. Surprisingly, actually, I got a message from Franco a couple weeks ago because I'd mentioned that the factory that did a piece that he sculpted, the quality was shit. And he messaged me, "Hey, what's going on with the factory?" Like, man, their stuff is just. It's like, I don't know why you work with them. Their stuff is crap. It's like you never know what you're going to get. I spent a week just making the tree so it wouldn't fall apart because you put the tree together and it'd fall apart. So I put all the branches in and I re-sculpted all the keys and everything. so my client could put it together and the tree wouldn't fall apart. And then I had to work on the fitment of the body, and he's got a switch out torso and heads, and so just
doing tattoos on him. Did you do the tattoos on the body? This one.
Say it again.
Did you have him bare, or did you? I've seen this tattooed. The body on
I
that
didn't do there's a switch out torso where he's naked, but I didn't do a tattoo because I've been asked to do tattoos. I don't know how to do a tattoo, so I'm like, you need to find someone else.
I was going to say about
it was
that.
someone who did a Hellboy, and they did the tattoos on a Hellboy one time, and I can't remember. Was it that Greek lady?
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. She's a fantastic painter. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she did one where she did what is it, Polly something?
Polly something, yeah.
Yeah. She did some really good Hellboy tattoos.
That's one thing I'd like to learn how to do is how to do the hand painting the tattoos, because there's a lot of finesse. Like I would assume, like if I was a mini painter, I've never painted minis, but the way they layer the paint and make it look like ink, and I don't know how they do it. It looks great. I've never done it.
So I really find it like, so go on, what did we get? Did we get all three? Did you give me all three?
Yeah, we got the Captain America, but I don't think you sent me the Captain America pictures.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
I should have.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll get to them then. I can find.
Is there a character you really don't like doing? That you like, if I see another one of these, I'm going to fucking kill myself.
I can't say there is, to be honest. It's like, there's nothing I've.
This is crazy. This Aquaman is crazy. This is just nuts work all over this.
For some reason, when I downloaded the pictures you sent me, it didn't give me a picture from the front.
You should have gotten a couple from the front on this one.
No, I wouldn't trust Alex, man. He's probably was watching porn at the time or something.
Well, I was, but I could multitask.
This has got the orca head. It's got the giant sea dragon, which look at him. Look at that metallic sort of scaling on there. It's just nuts, man.
I don't have the Captain America in the list I got.
Oh, it's in there somewhere. You didn't get all for some reason, because I got the folder right here. I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's in there.
That Hellboy's crazy as
well. You should have gotten 116 photos.
No, I only got 50.
Oh, you only got half of them for some reason.
Yeah, well, on the drive there was only 50. No.
Can I? Are you pulling off the drive right now? Or did you pull them off your computer?
No, I pulled them off the. I downloaded from Drive, and then there was only 50 when I downloaded.
Oh, yeah, it should have been 160. I don't know why. Well, I could try to upload them as we talk, but I don't know if you want to do that or not.
That's right. Let me see. Unless they were uploading while I downloaded.
So I've seen this Hellboy before. This is packed with a bit of detail on this. It's very nice. This.
I mean, there's 116 now, but there was 50 before.
Yeah,
they're all in there. So it's up to if you want to try to pull from there. Yeah. So Hellboy. So the Hellboy. This is from Nair, and this is the Nair and Hellboy. And I've done.
Yeah, I know this sculpture.
I've done 9 of these things, and this is one where, if you ask me, there's some when I'm sick of, or I'm like, if I do another Hellboy, probably. I've done so many of them. But this is
quite lean. This one, and he's quite skinny, like Hellboy.
He's thin. His face looks just like Ron Perlman. It's a great likeness of Ron Perlman. Yeah, but he's lean. So I've done 9 of these, and this is kind of like the one when I posted the first one, kind of really got me known or recognized, I guess, in the statue collecting community. This one and the Alpha 3 Captain America, I did the very first one I did.
Love that stuff. Alpha 3's good. They did a Miles Morales recently. I don't know if you got the kit for that, but that looks fantastic. The Miles that they did. I love their museum line. Their Spider-Man museum line's very strong.
Are they still around? Because I don't get.
Alpha 3, they're still about. Yeah. They're still doing bits.
Still doing stuff. Yeah.
I see them coming up. Yeah, doing some nice bits, man.
Yeah, if you get the Aquaman up there, that was a fun piece. That was a kit that I actually bought for myself initially, and I planned on keeping it. But then I got laid off, and I still had to pay the balance plus shipping because it was like over 3 payments the way it was being produced. And this particular group doesn't allow you to sell your pre-orders. But I reached out to the commissioner, like, "Hey man, I just got laid off. I know you hate this kind of thing, but would you be okay if I sold my pre-order to someone?" And he let me do it. And I reached out. I just made a post like, "Hey, look. I've got this Aquaman kit. I'll eat the deposit, which was $400. You pay the balance and the shipping as long as I get to paint it. And within 5 minutes, someone paid it off, and it was sent to me to paint for them. But I wanted to paint it, so that was the
but I mean, you've done. I've seen that actually. I've seen that project painted probably about 6 times, and your one is breathtaking.
It was fun. That was a lot of fun to do. I enjoyed it because there was a lot of stuff I never painted animals, never painted fish or whales or sharks. So it was fun because it was challenging.
It's got great white. It's got an orca in it. It's got like some sort of sea dragon as well. Definitely, it's a badass Aquaman. I mean, it's the best Aquaman. If you want Aquaman to look cool, that's the one to make it look cool.
There's actually and on that one I did, there's actually a pretty significant mistake if you pay attention to it. It's right in the front. Anyone who knows Aquaman would know what my mistake was on him. My client has never called me back. It's like, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah, that's just the cap. Look, this is it, man.
That's the Secret Empire.
Nick Spencer, I think the eyes was for that.
So yeah, I did two of these. One was sent to me as a prototype, and then one was my kit, and I painted them at the same time. So I sold mine as soon as I know that. But what's interesting about this piece in particular is that, the prototype after the production was done. I can't remember who the commissioner was. I don't think he's around anymore. He sold the prototype that went to the factory. So the factory shipped the prototype to the collector, and the collector got it, and it was all tore up because the factory just, they don't care. They're passing the pieces around, and they're, going to different stations.
Yeah.
It was beat to hell. So he contacted me. He's like, hey, I bought the prototype, but it's really messed up. And he sent me photos. I was like, can you fix this? Like, yeah, I can fix it. I painted it. So he sent it back to me, and I saw what the factory had done to it. And it looked like it had been through the ringer, man. There was like,
I've received some of the samples from XM and
paint chips everywhere, broken parts.
Does not give a fuck. Factory don't care.
Yeah, once they get the prototype, they don't care. Yeah.
Would that be hard for you, Matt? Like thinking about it now, when you talk about like dodging the Sideshow bullet, do you think that you painting something and then just like giving it to their factory to fucking butcher would kill you? Do you think you could you live with it? Or do you think
it's not mine? It's not my piece. The prototype doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the commissioner. So
no. He means like when you paint your prototype for Sideshow, you put in 50 hours of work or 100 hours, whatever, how many hours it is. You paint this prototype and you're like, this looks fucking amazing. Yeah. You then send that off. They send the master to the factory. Yep. It comes back. Then all those collectors get it in hand and they go, wow, this is meant to be like painted by Matt.
I see what you're saying.
The factory's done a really shit job.
The production piece looks like crap.
Yeah. So when collectors have seen your amazing prototype, and yet, I mean, listen, we still deal with people who are under the crazy illusion that a Chinese factory can remotely produce anything near. Like I see posts all the time, probably on a weekly basis. But they think it's the same. They're like, oh, it's just like you're off your fucking head. You're crazy.
So you got the Alpha 3. This is a Alpha 3B stuff. No, it's not Alpha 3. This is the Graven Labs. So
I had this piece, and I had this piece based off your prototype that you painted because you fucking killed it.
And then I did the Cyclops too, and I know the Cyclops people weren't happy with, but I can guarantee that the Cyclops prototype paint was on par with the Beast paint because I did them almost back to back. So I know the production paint on the Cyclops wasn't as good as what I sent the factory. I saw a couple of these photos of the production paint on this, and it was okay. One thing you're going to find between a custom painter and factory paint is that factory paint is going to be flat. It's just not going to have the contrast as custom paint does. So again, they're putting in a color and a shadow, or a color and a highlight. Where the way I work, it's a color, it's a mid-tone, it's a highlight, then there's a clear over it. There's a bunch of different, the pants on that Alpha 3 Captain America, it's 4 different layers of paint on the pants to get that blue. The factory's going to put down a base color and they're going to add some shadows, and that's it. Yeah. So they need to get that. They need to get that done.
But do you think, like I was saying, do you think that if you'd have taken that job with Sideshow and knowing that they took your 100% job and doled it down to around 30%, 25% probably at best, how would you handle that? Would you be all right with that? Or would you just be like, yeah, that's not my fucking problem?
Well, I would be disappointed. I would be upset if people who bought it weren't happy with it because I had something to do with it. You know, it's like my name is on the paint. So yeah, anything that's associated with my work, I want to make sure whoever gets that product is happy. Yeah, I want to make sure that they're happy with it. You know, it's like that's, you know.
A similar thing happens with sculptors as well, where, for example, they'll give their sculpt to a company, and then when it then gets released, it will be a percentage different, and that can be for various reasons. It can be that their sculpt needed to be tweaked because of the licensor. It can be that their pose needs to be tweaked for engineering. It can be 101 reasons, but there's always the way that certain artists deal with it. Certain artists within the custom world, there's a lot more freedom, and most things will be the way the artist left it. But if it gets changed, then they have a hissy fit and they melt down. But then you see like people who are professional, been in the game for a long time, like Canal he'll just share his original sculpts. He'll go, I'm so happy I worked on this. Here's my work from before. And he'll show you that there are those variations.
Right.
So it's about how you kind of deal with that. Because it's, unfortunately, once it goes, they pay you to do a job, but once you do the job, it's theirs, and they can do
it's theirs. Yeah,
what the hell they like with it. So it's not ideal, but it's their company. At the end of the day, they can release it however they want. Yeah,
you know, it's like so I did, like I said, a couple pieces for Gaming Hints. I don't even know if they saw the light of day, to be honest.
I don't know what's going on with them, actually. I mean, I think they've gone bust. If they ain't gone bust, they're bloody close, aren't they?
Gaming Heads did something where they really pissed off their fan base. They said that X amount of pieces, so it was like Ratchet and Clank, God of War, and something else. Basically, Sony said you don't have that license anymore, even though they gave them the license, they produced it, people paid, and people paid for it to be shipped, and all of a sudden it's like, no, you can't release that anymore. Then rather than Gaming Heads go, okay, there's been some kind of issue, we'll refund you, blah 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 blah, they then put out a statement saying, by the way, Sony have cancelled this. If you want your money back, contact Sony. Goodbye. And it was literally like that. And everyone was just like, whoa, fuck you.
I didn't do Sony stuff. My stuff was Microsoft. I did a Master Chief. I did a Booker. I did a Booker from BioShock Infinite. I did one other piece. I'm not sure what it was. I can't remember.
One of their BioShock's piece was their best piece with the Little Sister and Big Daddy. That was really good.
That's BioShock's my favorite game ever. So when they asked me to do a BioShock, I was like, hell yeah, I love BioShock.
I tried to play that.
Mine was a Booker. Mine was Booker from the third game, which the sculpt was a little, like his face sculpt was off, like his head was too big or something. But
I tried to play that on the aeroplane with headphones on my laptop, and it fucking shit the life out of me. It's a pretty scary game, man.
I still play BioShock all the time. It's my favorite. It's my favorite game series.
Yeah. That is creepy.
I think this was a fun one. Azog, he was a cool piece to do. That's a Naren kit.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like this character as well. It's badass. But I like with the white.
One thing I did different on him is I made the scars look fresh. Normally they're scarred over. They're very kind of
it's just an off, isn't it? They're sort of like a pink, but not as vibrant as that.
Like a fleshy pink. But I wanted to look a little more fresh, so we made them a little brighter.
Look at that. That's fucking nuts. So cool.
Oh, you're downloading him now. There you go. Okay, see if you can see the mistake on Aquaman.
He's not red-headed.
No, he's actually blonde. He's showing up a little red in camera, but he's blonde. I'll give you a hint. It's his belt. Look at his belt. What's wrong with his belt?
Zoom in. I can't really see it from here. Let's have a look.
No, his belt buckle's on upside down. It should be turned upside down to make an A. I never even caught it.
Yeah.
It's glued on upside down. My client never even said anything. So I'm just
awesome.
I glued his belt buckle.
That's fucking crazy.
After all that work, I fucked up the belt buckle.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you could probably get away with it. I think there's so much going on in this statue. Ain't nobody going to really notice too much.
No one's ever said anything about it. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but I'm not surprised when you've got so much details going on here. I mean, the shark's unreal, man.
There's a lot going on.
I think people don't realize how big that shark is.
I have a whole YouTube series on painting this guy too.
I've watched it. I've watched every episode. I think I've almost commented on all them videos as well from the
like a
YouTube
7-part series
perspective.
on Pain's guy. He was.
I
Like
love
said,
them. I enjoy them videos. I think they're fantastic to see your progress on such things. I've got to be honest though, Matt. I avoid the middle one. I watched the first one. If you do 3, I watch the first one. I watch the last one. I watch the middle one. I don't know why I do that. It's just it's like that. You know, them annoying people that get on a train and have a brand new book and then read the last page and then start from the beginning. It's like that. Like one of them guys.
It's like 3 hours of me just rambling on and figuring. They're fantastic.
And I would urge anybody who's interested in getting into painting themselves to watch them, because you're actually very open with your information, which is unique.
Like everyone asks me, why is there black on the top of his roof? Like, go look at photos of killer whales. They'll have black on the top of the roof, on the top of their mouth, on the inside.
Yeah, that's nuts. I didn't know that.
That's the other thing with this piece. I don't think people realize how big the orca and the shark are. They are massive.
Oh, he's huge. Yeah, he's huge. I didn't send you a photo. I have a photo in my album of a photo of me with it to show people how big it is. It's just massive. The base alone with nothing on it weighs 65 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I like that gladiator as well. That's a nice piece.
That's an old custom, but it's a fun. I've done 2 of them. And he's challenging because that cape is so damn heavy, and the way
I don't think it's engineered very well, this piece.
This is like a very old custom, like one of the first ones out there, and the cape just weighs a ton, so you have to really be careful. Huh?
No,
that wasn't Mad X.
No, this is I think the shared induced. This was who produced this? It's a long time ago. DXA Designs? I can't remember. Anyway, it's a fun piece. It's challenging. I've done 2 of them. He's cool. This is a little 1/6 scale vinyl kit of from Deep Space Nine. God, what's his name?
Yeah, Jubilee's really nice. That's a nice piece. Don't see enough of her, to be honest. I still don't understand how like people like Sideshow still don't get away putting a character like that out. There he is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just crazy. That's crazy work, isn't it? Really.
There's a guy called Quark.
Quark. There you go. Thank you.
That's that's the subs there, bro. Chatting. They're the guys that know.
That's not me. That's
they're chiming in. I knew his name at one point, but I forgot. I did Odo with him. Odo is kind of like another Deep Space Nine character.
When you think about this stuff that all of you that you've done, is there when you think about what you're going to then try to carry on doing, do you have sort of an objective in mind, a goal of some kind?
Man,
yourself.
That's funny. Like I was just talking to my mom about that the other day. It's like, are you gonna paint forever? It's like, I don't know. It's like I'm really bad about planning for my future.
Sound like Alex.
I'm just gonna keep going with it, man. This was fun. So this was a Franco sculpt, and this guy initially we were just gonna paint it, and he's like, hey, can you like make him turning into Venom? I'm like, I'm not a sculptor, but I'm happy to try to screw up your $1,200 kit. So I started applying 2-part epoxy, and for not being a sculptor, I was really happy with how it turned out.
No, that's great. It looks pretty decent, to be fair.
One of the cats I turned into Venom Kitty. So that's actually like that. There you go. Yeah, so it's just 2-part sculpting putty and just using references and trying to just make it look like Venom. I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I see that. It's talking about your skin tones, which obviously you're famous for as well.
I still think I'm getting skin tones are the hardest thing you'll ever paint, in my opinion. Just because they turned out really good on him. I've finally gotten to the point that I would say in the past, because I'm painting so much now. I'm painting, 3 to 4 pieces a month is kind of like what I need to keep doing so I can pay my bills. The more you do something, the better you get at it. You kind of get down to the formula. So skin tones, I've kind of like in the past year and a half, I've kind of feel like, okay, I've kind of got a formula down that works, kind of thing. Before that, it was just experimenting and just trying to get something that look human.
And do you find like a black skin tone or a white skin tone is harder?
To me, it doesn't matter. It's all different. It's the same techniques, different colors. It's like. Well,
I actually think you did Bishop very well.
Yeah, his
He
skin
got
turned
his
out.
skin-
His skin turned out really nice.
Yeah, it was a good skin
had,
tone on that picture. Very nice.
you had up Rogue up there, Land Rogue. She's a little punchy in the photograph. She's not quite punchy as a person, but like Aries turned out great. His skin turns out his skin turned.
This is for me. This is your signature. This is like when I look at you, how you do your Spider-Man pieces. I just love how they look. I really like how you. I mean, I just think that looks great. I'm not a massive fan of a lot of sort of styling. I don't, this is not my favorite sculpt, but I think the paint is the best thing about this statue for sure.
It's weird lean, isn't it? It doesn't. I don't know.
I just don't like this statue. I don't like this statue at all. But I think.
Well, the original artwork is from kind of like the waist up, and when you then put it into a full statue, it just looks a bit. I don't know, just a bit off, a bit camp. I don't know, weird.
But I think the paint. There's another one that Matt did recently as well. Another Spider-Man. I can't even remember what it was.
I just did two Spider-Man 2099s. I just did two.
Yeah, but you didn't you do the Sideshow one recently as well for a client?
Yeah, I've done two repaints of the premiere form. He's up on the crane. Yeah,
that's really nice juggernaut. Yeah, this is lovely.
That Sideshow Spider-Man is one of my favorite Spider-Mans. I think it's a great sculpt.
It's a great Spider-Man. I've got a repainted Negative Zone version myself.
It's a small piece.
I love what you did with that. The colors that you put in there.
It takes up a small footprint, and the sculpt is great. It's just really dynamic. I love it.
This is a great juggernaut as well. Probably the best comic book accurate sort of like juggernaut out there.
Yeah, he's cool. He's big too, man. I think he's like 24 inches tall. So he's huge.
I think he's bigger than that, bro, because I've seen this next to mine, and I've got one that's 32 inches tall, and this ain't far off it. So I think this is about 29, 30 inches at least. It's a massive piece, this.
Well, that's off the base. You include the base. Yeah, you're going to have to close to 30 inches.
I never liked this one either. I never liked that sculpt at all for Apocalypse.
It's the style of it, is that?
Yeah, but again, it's got Mac's signature, sort of like really. Just things just come alive when you paint them, bro. It's really cool.
That's the second one I did. I own this kit.
Luke said Juggernaut needs to be bright white skin. Us redheads don't tan.
Yeah, so that's a big piece. I mean, and it's just again. So like when you're doing these really large pieces like that on the Apocalypse, his body's one piece except for the arms. So it's one solid chunk of resin. So the way I have to handle is actually drill holes like in the key of the neck, somewhere where you're not going to see it. And I put big ass hooks. I screw big hooks in these things so I can hang them up. So I'll use I have like a bunch of photo equipment since I'm a photographer. I have light stands in my work area that can hold 500 pounds. And I hang all this shit up so I can. Otherwise, there's nowhere you can't handle it. There's nowhere to hold on to and paint it. Yeah. So I have to be able to hang it up and paint it. So
I think I've seen like Lewis doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah, you got it. He got that idea from me. He's like, "Oh, hooks." Like, yeah, hang this shit up, man. He saw me doing it. This is my favorite. That's my favorite Magneto. I love that one. I just love the sculpt. So dynamic. I have another one of these for sale to paint if anyone's interested. The kit.
I swear the one we saw of this must have been fake.
I think it was.
Because there was a run of recasts of this, and the one we saw, it just looked dire. I mean, the paint was dire, and it was just like the balance of it was off, and it just
So they did. There was a factory. I think they did a factory paint version. They did a white and black, and then they did this. The engineering is really tricky on it because there's actually his right foot is pinned, his left toe rests on a stack of rocks. And there's a pin that comes out of one of the columns in the back that's supposed to go into the cape, but they don't line up. That pin doesn't line up to the cape. And if you try to put it in there, the cape chips out. And actually, I was watching an unboxing video to see how it went together. And the guys putting their painted piece to chip their cape out. So what I did is I got them on the base and I actually heated and I bent the cape so it would line up. But over time, it kind of went back. But he stands up just fine without that pin. I don't think you need it. But the base is killer on that.
Yeah, he did a really good job on that, to be honest. I mean, we found it really. I mean, we did. The version we saw was from the factory, and it was junk.
Yeah.
Is this Judy Jetson?
Yeah, it's Judy. So this is a kit produced by a friend of mine in Houston, Texas. His company's called Filmy's Girls, and he does pinup style kits.
This is what
And
you
this
put
is
the actual
actually,
TV in.
so
Wait,
this
wait,
is
oh yeah,
this
You
is
put
one
like a little
fifth.
TV in. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did. So let me talk about this piece
is
for a
this
minute.
his daughter?
Yes, Judy Jetson.
Ah, the daughter.
So
Yeah.
this is 1/5 scale, Judy Jetson grown up. I actually have a YouTube series on this too, but the TV, I put in a working TV screen. So my client, and I uploaded 3 hours of Jetson video. So my client can turn the TV on and watch the Jetsons on that little TV screen.
Yeah,
And
I saw the
and I
ones with
lit
the TV. Yeah,
and I lit up the lights on the thing. But this is actually this cover of there's a magazine called Fine Scale Modeler, and this is the cover of this issue coming out. And they did I did a 22-page article on the buildup of this, and that magazine's coming out in like a week.
22 pages.
It was 22.
That's awesome.
I submitted my. Sorry, it's getting really dark in here. I submitted my story.
Yeah,
And they're like, you now have the record for the longest article in our magazine ever. It's like 22.
When I first saw this, I don't know if people will remember it, but there was a game on the Dreamcast called Space Channel 5, and for some reason I thought it was something to do with that. And
Well, you wouldn't get it was Judy Jetson, would you? Let's be honest. You don't get that.
First.
You need to know it.
Yeah, you'd have to know it. Yeah, but the kid's called Judy. Yeah, and the box art's like her on her hover bike kind of thing.
Oh yeah, these are actually in order now. These pictures. Sabretooth, that's nice as well.
Yeah, that was a cool piece.
I've not seen that one before. I don't think.
No, he's huge. That thing is massive. So this is a good
This
example.
is last level. This is last level, isn't it?
Yeah, this is from HCT, and actually this kit was actually pretty good. That one
got one right.
That's a
I like this. This Sandman. This is fucking awesome. This is really nice.
He's big, man. I think up to the hammer, it's like 34 inches tall. He's big.
Yeah.
I'm doing another one. That's a 3D print from Bond.
Oh yeah. There's also another 3D print he's done is the Kingpin. He did that one, the Kingpin Daredevil one. Didn't he? He was printing those off recently.
Yeah, he's doing all sorts of stuff. Oh, someone said there's a new BioShock game coming out. I didn't know that. All right, I got to look that up.
Oh yeah, can't wait for the next game, Judas. There you go. There's the picture.
Yeah. That's
that thing,
cool.
That thing, like again, that's one where I got it. I kind of gave him a quote based on the 3D art. This is one so going back to kind of how you were talking about sculptors, like the companies may change the sculpt or whatever for certain reasons, Alex. So like this is something I don't think like Sideshow would do. The thing about 3D prints, it's great because you can print whatever the hell you want, okay? But it makes painting them a bitch, okay? So like to paint this was a nightmare because there are actually areas where I couldn't get paint to because I couldn't get an airbrush in there. I couldn't get a paint. I could see it, but I couldn't get a paintbrush to it because of the way that all these tendrils are going and there's flames going throughout the whole piece. Like if Sideshow or someone, they would have to change the sculpt on this to make it reproducible. It wouldn't work as a huge run. There's just no way. And the way
you couldn't give this to a factory, they couldn't cope with this.
Yeah, so 3D stuff is great, but then it's like sculptors sculpt to make it look cool, but then they don't think about the painter. Yeah.
What they would do is they would take all the tendrils off and make them totally all separate and maybe bendable or whatever else.
Yeah, so like this, he comes apart, like all the tendrils come off, but once all the tendrils are off, still the base is so complicated and things are still interweaving and intertwining on this piece. It's like,
why
you couldn't cast it for sure. Yeah. We would not be able to cast it.
That's something we raised before. Is there's a sculptor out there who he's absolutely amazing. He's a fantastic sculptor. Caleb Navson is a great sculptor, but he just doesn't have any kind of. He doesn't give a fuck about what the factory can produce. It seems.
Yeah.
Or he just doesn't care. It's not his problem. Yeah. So he produces these really epic things, and it's just historic that his things just have issues when it comes to factory, like the Bat King, like the Spider-Man Venom symbiote thing, like coming towards him. There's just like loads of them where there's just issues, and he doesn't seem to think that far ahead because it's not my problem.
It comes down to the personality, doesn't it? Like we're talking about here. At the end of the day, so whoever's made this, they don't have that middle person that's in there that's going, whoa, wait a minute. Don't
Yeah.
put
Well,
that
the art
there.
director,
Don't put that
should
there.
be
You need
there.
an art director. You need an
Don't,
art director.
don't go
The
to
art
do
that
director
to
should be there
that
to
to the
reel
touch there.
that
That's
back.
twisting here. How are we going to do? You know, that's
Yeah.
what you need those
That's,
for.
that's the art
None-
director's job is to say,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
this is cool, but we can't do it. You
Yeah,
need to do
you
Yeah,
need the art
exactly.
director, the project manager to kind of put them back in their
But
place.
also, it requires a personality where you know what your limits are, from where it's in your mind to what you can produce. There has to be somewhere where there's a limit, where it's like I could go here, but I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
for
and
him,
some people just don't
again,
have those limits. They're limitless. They just think,
Yeah.
fuck it, yeah, I can make it. Let's go.
Yeah.
I just think with him, it's like I can sculpt this, I can put this together, I can make this look great in 3D form. They have to work out the rest. It's not my
Why
problem.
can't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, that's kind of the downside about 3D prints in particular, stuff like the Bishop, where sure you can print it, you never be able to cast it or mold it, and it's just really, it's really challenging to do the cleanup on it because you're trying to get into nooks and crannies you can't see or get to, and then you're trying to get paint to areas you just can't get paint to.
Here's a question for you, Matt. That it's a more of a personal question for my own benefit. Since I'm having you on here, I can do that.
Yeah.
If you've painted, I'm assuming, master sculpts before, yes? Like master prints, the first ones, the ones that the originals are.
You mean like prototypes?
Yeah, like the master print of a statue. So like the very first sort of build of something.
Yeah, I mean, I've
into the
painted prototypes. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do they compare to like a proper statue? Are they made from the same?
Okay. I understand your question now. So you're saying if someone's sending me the raw print to paint and then to be produced. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's right. I'm asking in terms of like.
So I've never gotten a raw print from like a factory. They do all the cleanup and prep to the print. So what you're getting when you're getting a kit or a piece from anywhere, they print it, they do all the cleanup and all that stuff, and they make molds of it and then they cast it. You're never gonna paint a print from a factory. You're gonna paint a casting from a factory. You know what I'm saying? Now I have had one or two master prints in my possession, and probably the most famous one is the Bushi Silver Surfer, the first one, where he's up on that big wave. I had Bushi sold the print that the factory used to make the molds from. He sold that print to a collector. In the process of making the molds, the wave was all cracked and broken because they just care about making a good copy of that. They just want to make a mold of it. And in the process of tearing the mold apart, a lot of times the piece inside gets broken. So the client sent me the master print of that Silver Surfer. So I got to see all the work the factory did to that Silver Surfer before they molded and cast it, because I stripped it down to bare resin. And the amount of work that they put into it was crazy. Like the Silver Surfer had putty work all over it. They still they do they'll mark what they call parting lines on the piece. They'll draw like a marker, so when they do it in the clear silicone, they know where to cut the mold to pull the piece out. So I had that master print in my possession. And it was from Ownage, so I got to see what Ownage did to the print before they molded and cast it, and the work was tremendous. It was crazy. Yeah, the amount of putty work and stuff they did to get things to fit. So, so when I get a 3D print, that's all the stuff I have to do so I can paint it. Okay. But yeah, but I'm not. You would never get a master print from a factory because they're going to do all the cleanup and stuff, and they're going to send you the first one or two castings. So. Now, I have gotten prototypes in the past where they'll send me a casting. Like, hey, look, you may want to change this in your production because there's this issue with the fitment here, or this could be changed or something in production. I think it would make it better. I made those suggestions. Not sure if they ever took me up on
when I look at that pyro, that's when you look at pieces like that. That's when you're thankful that customs exist. Because ain't nobody making that character. Yeah. Not ever.
Or Sandman. You don't see Sandman around. You don't see
XM did do one, and Bowen did one. Okay, I did a bust as well.
I mean, Sandman's like a level C. This is like a very low. Like this is like an E. This character here in the roster. This is never get made by a licensed company.
But also that flame that goes across the arc, that would be problems for a lot. Like to produce that in large
Look how great it looks.
when you ship that across, that's going to warp. That's going to break. That's going to bring so many problems.
Yeah, I mean it's the pack. This was from Ownage. It was an Ownage kit.
Yeah,
Packing was phenomenal. The way they had it packed was perfect. Yeah, so I mean there was nothing. Everything fit perfectly. There's no prep on it. That's it. I think that was an Ownage kit too.
That's nice as well.
Okay, that's ridiculous. That. Febby, do you know what? I've got to be honest with you. I was really close to picking this Vulture up, and then I saw your repaint of it, and I didn't. Yeah,
so he turned out good. I was happy with him.
I just really like what you did with the base of that.
That's cool,
this was the very first. Go back to that piece. That's the very first commission I ever did. I was ever paid to build and paint. That's a Gundam. I did that in 2010. He's 2 feet long and a foot tall, and it's about 400 pieces of resin in that thing.
What's it, so like, for example, because obviously you put like a lot of time building these things, putting them together, but like you've then got to ship them.
Yep.
So like, what's your process then for packing them up and things? Because
so like something like this guy broke down into a ton of pieces, just lots of bubble wrap and really carefully packing it. I'm actually doing a Gundam right now. It's the first one I've done in 6 years because no one wants to pay me my rate to do them. But I have a really serious collector who's having me do one right now, and we're gonna when it's actually a piece I've done before, but we're gonna I'm either gonna build a crate and have custom foam cut for it, or he's going to buy a Pelican case and send it to me full of foam because it's such a high dollar commission. Why skimp out on the packing when you're shipping?
Oh yeah, of course.
You know,
well, it's the same as collectors go. They spend all this money on their statues, and then they spend $50 on an IKEA cabinet. It's the same kind of like
why? Well, I was just sent a piece from someone who reached out to me to do a repaint. And he shipped it to me, and as soon as I picked up the box, I knew it was broken. It sounded like a baby's rattle. And I opened it up, and literally he had it wrapped in some saran wrap and just a few of those like air-filled bladders.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I tell him like, man, there's no padding in here. It showed up in a million pieces.
I bought the first Sideshow Freddy Krueger, and it's the one where there was a variant with the demon version of him, and I bought the first version, and literally someone sent it to me in a cardboard box. They left the hands attached, they left it on the base, and they literally wrapped it in newspaper and sent it in a box. It just turned up absolutely fucked, and it was just like, what? You know, what were you thinking? How do you expect this to get to me in one piece? And it's just crazy what people think.
For the most part, packing the statues is relatively easy because it comes typically in the custom cut foam. Where it comes a little more challenging as you build the pieces and glue, like the Samurai Wolverine is a good example of that blossom tree. I made it so where the branches would come out, and I just recut all the foam to accommodate the branches with the blossoms on. And I spent 3 hours packing it, little bits of foam and stuff, and it showed up. It showed up perfectly. Other things I've shipped, and something may, you're shipping hand. You're in the shipper god as far as stuff showing up.
Yeah, you are. You're with the gods there, man. There's no guarantee of nothing. You can ship. You can pack it. You can pack it as good as anybody. But if it's treated like a piece of shit, then there's no surviving.
Especially international, if customs opens it, and then you never know.
We reviewed a piece which was sent to Gary Speed, and it went through like Peru or somewhere like that. And basically they drilled through the base, and they sliced the box up with box cutter, and it turned up, and he was nearly crying. It was just in such bad condition. Bad Blood Studios. I once received an iron piece from another painter, limited 49, shipped to me in a shoebox without any protection whatsoever, just resin on cardboard.
So you got a bag of you got a box of powder, is what you're saying.
Was that Gundam piece the most complicated you've done?
So he's asking about the Sazabi. I'm actually the Sazabi. That's the one I'm doing right now. No,
okay.
the most complicated one I've ever done. The Sazabi I'm working on, the one you mentioned. It's one of the best Gundam kits I've worked on. It has 346 parts or something to it. The engineering is really, really good. But the most complicated would probably be one of the top ones would be the one you showed earlier, the big blue and white guy. That was pretty complicated. That's the Sazabi. That's the one I'm working on right now.
Do you think it was the most complicated because it was early on in your career as a painter? Or
no, just engineering. It's an interesting. It's a weird design and just the way that things fit together. That's probably the most complicated one, I have to say. The other one you showed, a green one with these big wings sticking out. That's called the Kashaki.
Yeah, that was nice.
So that
one,
guy,
that's it. Yeah,
that's pretty complicated too because of all the weight up on the shoulders. You have to find the happy point. These things are not posable, by the way. They don't.
How big is this? Sorry.
So this is 1/100th scale, and he's about, if I remember correctly, probably about 12 inches tall. So he's not huge, but again, it's like 300 pieces. This one is challenging because you got to, once you get it all together, I do this before paint. I find the center of balance, and then I pin and glue the knees so he doesn't move or tip over. So that's challenges to get the balance.
Does this stuff
right.
excite you, this, because you like this Gundam stuff? Does this excite you, like, to get some stuff like this in?
I did nothing but Gundams for 10 years, from 2010 till I discovered figures.
Wow.
My first figure was that girl up on the rocket ship hitchhiking. That was 2016.
Wow.
But before that, I had never done a figure. I did nothing but Gundams.
And this is like literally where you get the resin on the kind of rectangles, and you cut them off and build
sometimes them not too often. Most of these come in, they're individually bagged, like they come in shrink wrapped, or you get a box of resin pieces in bags.
Yeah,
but
funny enough,
sometimes they'll come on trees, but not very often.
Yeah, funny enough, when I was a kid, my dad actually bought some of these Gundam things, but I think they're actually Transformers. And he built them for me, and then he didn't paint them, but he built them. And me being me, and I was quite destructive as a kid, I tried playing with them and just smashed them to pieces. And he wasn't so happy, especially after he built them and then I destroyed them, and he was pissed, man.
So if it's a plastic kit, then it comes on what you call the sprues, where you're cutting the pieces off.
Yeah,
the ones you've been showing are resin, are full resin kits, so there's no plastic in it. So these come in individual, like that one. That's the one I'm working on. He's about 17 inches tall, 345 pieces. This is the one I'm most well known for. It's a killer kit. But this one, the one I'm working on now, I'm going to light up the thrusters. I'm going to add lights to it. I'm going to have a custom base made for it. This is an expensive build. This is very expensive.
Matt, you ever painted something and then just thought, yeah, fuck it, I want to keep this?
There's a few. I mean, like I'm trying to think of a figure like Aquaman. Like I said, I initially bought it for myself because I loved it. I thought it was a great sculpt. Like that one right there, I'm kind of sad I sold my copy of it that I painted. I just love it. I thought this was a great sculpt. I thought the paint was great. It doesn't take up a ton of space.
Yeah, it's
but again, like I said earlier, like once I'm done painting something and I take the photos, I'm kind of over it. I'm like, okay, I've done it. I'm happy. I've had
it's like a one night stand, Matt.
Huh?
It's like a one night stand, bro.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's like a week and a half long fling. Go back to that symbiote Spider-Man hanging upside down. Go back to that one. So this one was from Xehanart, and it was actually Spider-Man. But this one, she wanted to, I guess, the symbiote Spider-Man or whatever, Venom Spidey. So I sanded all the webs off, totally smoothed them out, and then the newspaper machine is a 3D print I did, and I weathered it. And that turned out really awesome. And I put little newspapers in it, and so that was a fun custom job.
Did you paint the Morbius?
I have not.
No,
I have done a Morbius. I don't know, have I? Yes, long time ago. Yeah, a long time ago, where he's like kind of.
One of the first times I kind of come across you, I'm sure.
That was a great piece. Where he's got the big statue behind him. He's got the big angel statue behind him. Yeah.
Lisa Gregg something.
I didn't send you any photos of that one. That's a cool piece.
No,
That's
that was one of the.
That's one of the ones that made me start. I got to start charging by the hour because I think I charged like $600 to do that, and I had like 20 hours in just painting fucking the vines, like 2 or 3 days just painting vines. I'm like, okay, this is way too cheap.
That's one of the projects where they said, "Hey, we'll send you one to review," and they never did.
Oh yeah, I never saw the pre-painted, but in the end, I thought it was funny. He's got the 5 different heads, the transformation heads.
Yeah,
lots of heads, lots of portraits on that one.
Yeah. I wish I sent you photos of that because that's actually a really cool piece. It's fun to do. Yeah.
Quite dynamic, that Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's, Xehanort, they get a bad rap. They're one of the lower end, cheaper groups. But you get what you pay for. That the Galactus on Throne. That's a Xehanort piece.
Yeah, that's right.
But it painted up nicely. The kit needed some work, less than I thought. I had to take the chair apart and kind of put it back together so it would fit on the base. But and it was a big piece, but it turned out nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you've got some amazing highlights in there, Matt, and that's not even half of it, man. You've been very busy, bro. You've done a lot of work.
Yeah, painting every day. That's my job.
So if someone wants to kind of get in touch with you and they want you to paint something, is it just to hit you up on Facebook, or is it basically
the best way is Facebook Messenger is the best way to reach out to me. I get emails every once in a while, but I hardly ever check my email anymore because
I'm bad and all.
It's listed on my Facebook page, and I'll get private messages through YouTube every once in a while, but Facebook Messenger is the best way. And I have 2 pages. I've got Matt Mrozek, which is my personal page. So if you don't want to hear me bitch about politics or anything, go to my Matt's Models Customs page, which is nothing but my painting and modeling. There's nothing personal there. It's just modeling.
I had someone had a go at me on mine recently. They were like, I did some sort of political post or something. Yeah. And they were like, there's no place for this here. And I was like, this is my fucking page. What the fucking talk? And they got well confused. Like they thought that it was.
They thought you're on your RaddTitan page. Yeah. So I have my personal page, which I do post my work on also. But if you just want to see my work, Matt's Models Customs on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to watch me sand for hours on end or bitch and gripe or cut myself, drill holes in my hands, go to YouTube. That's always fun. My videos are long. They're 2 to 4 hours sometimes. And it's because I like to show things in real time. And as you were mentioning it earlier, George, a lot of times I'll start with a process in my head and it changes as I'm going. Like, oh, I think I want to do this, but think, oh, well, maybe I should do it this way, or to get a certain effect, I'll do this. And that happens a lot. So I think that's the only way. I try to verbalize it so anyone who's watching it can kind of understand my thought process,
where you're going, and then obviously, but that just shows the adaptability of a person, which I think you can't live within your own head. You've got to sort of have a plan, try to stick to it, and then when you run into difficulties, you may have to adjust, adapt, and change tact. So that's good. I like that about your videos, that I can see. I find them quite well scribed. I understand where you're going and what you're trying to do, and you talk all the way through it. So it's a good watch. I enjoy it. I'm a big fan of your work. So I'm really glad that you came on and give us some insight into some of the stuff you do and how you do it. And I hope that as this journey that you're on moves on, that you find your way to a goal of something you want to sort of like do, like where you want to be. You want to work for somebody.
If I had an opportunity to be like an art director for a collectibles company, I think that'd be pretty cool. Because I have certain insight to things and certain ideas. I think that'd be kind of a neat kind of thing to do. When I was a kid, I wanted to build spaceships for Star Wars and ILM, and that's what I wanted to do as a kid. And I actually met a bunch of those guys last year at Wonderfest. So now I kind of know some of the guys who worked on the first Star Wars movies, which is kind of neat. But yeah, so it's like, in doing this Gundam, I get this Gundam that I'm doing now, this particular client has a whole slew of other people that he knows that are into Star Wars and other things. And I have a Star Wars kit in my queue. So yeah, I'm just branching out. I'll build and paint anything. certain things I'm better at. I'm just known for, like you said, metallics. Anything with metallics on, I can do all day long. I don't do a lot of female characters because I'm just not known for that. But I can do them.
I think
like Jason Fiedler, my friend Jason Fiedler, he does Hulks. Like he does nothing but Hulks.
Yeah,
he's really good at it. So I don't do a lot of Hulks.
There was the guy who just did like all the Red Sonjas, didn't he? He just did Red Sonjas after Red Sonja. Was that?
Well,
Vince,
not Vinceville.
not Vinceville. No. There was another guy like Vizetti or something, and he just did like literally like loads of the old Red Sonja with the
like redhead.
Yeah. Well, and Lewis just did like a whole slew of something. I've heard he just did like 10 or something of one thing. I can't remember what he did, but he just did a bunch of one thing. I did 3 Hellboys at one time, and I never want to do that again. That was like, oh, I can get 3 done quicker than I can do one individually, and it still took me just as long to do 3 as if I did them individually.
Yeah.
So
this is the guy. He done the Red Sonjas, but there's also he's had like a life painter as well, and he actually was doing all the Red Sonjas, but then he actually at the same time he was painting like Red Sonja like life paintings as well, which is really cool.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we've chatted probably longer than you wanted to.
But you know what? This is the great thing. Again, like you just said, Matt, you have a blueprint in your head, but you adapt and you go where you need to go. Because that's, like I say, you can't live in your head. You've got to go with how the flow of the thing goes. And I think we've got a lot of great stuff. And I'm proud to highlight you, man. I think you're a fantastic artist. So I want you to be successful and do really well. So I always following you on your page on Facebook and stuff, and I'm sharing your bits and pieces on all our Instagrams and socials when I can. So I wish you nothing but success, my man. I'm really pleased that you came on and shared some of your time with us, man. It's the most valuable commodity in this life. So thanks for sharing a bit with us, bro. I appreciate it because you don't get paid for it. So
thanks for having me on.
We ain't paying you for these 2 hours.
What's that?
You're not gonna bill us for these 2 hours.
No, I planned my day, so I was done working by the time I got on with you guys. So I'm done working for
the we can handle your bill, man. It bags up us.
But thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for plugging me. As everyone asks, I get asked from other models, like, how do I get into commission work, or how do I get, I was like, share your work, put it on social media. If people like it, they will reach out to you. That's how I didn't search out to be a painter. People sought me out, and it wasn't because I was trying to be a painter. I had a hobby. I loved it. I shared it. People reached out to me. So if you want to be a painter, if you want to paint for hire, share your work. If it's good and people like it, they'll reach out to you. So that's simple. Social media. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
So that's why anytime I get a chance to get on a channel, and you guys have a big following, so it helps me out.
I'd also say to people, don't undervalue yourselves as well. Make sure you charge for your time, and you value your work. So yeah,
we could have a whole other discussion on
of course.
That could be a whole nother discussion on fee, and I'm totally open with what I charge. So if you guys at a different amount of time want to talk about how I charge, why I charge, and all that stuff, I'm happy to talk about it. It's a lot of people are very hush hush about it, and I don't get it.
We're English, so we would careful with that. There's a few things that we don't just like. We would not. To be honest with you, I'm surprised. I was tempted a few times to go, how much did that go? But I just my English upbringing was just like, what's that fucking question? What's wrong with you? So you know what I mean, definitely something we could cover, and I would love to get you back on as well. And thanks, mate, for picking up the call and jumping on with us, bro. And of course, succeed, smash it, continue with what you're doing. You do fantastic work, man. And anybody needs to reach out to you. We'll definitely we'll put your socials in the description and make sure that people can contact you, man. So God bless you, and thanks very much for your time, brother.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Appreciate it.
Do the usual, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as I say, as George says, I will put his socials in the description. And also just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Spec Fiction. If you are looking for any statues out there, Spec Fiction is your kind of place to go. He does ship worldwide, very competitive rates. And also, if you're looking for older pieces, he will track them down for you. So, yeah, check him out. Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
God bless.
Peace. Adios. amigos.
Yes, yeah. Bye-bye. He has a go at me when I say that.